vehicle, but we believe that's the same vehicle, trying to blend in as we're trying to listen to the scanner at the same time, guys. So we're Angel's overhead, so they may have gone into what's called a surveillance or a tracking mode here. So uncertain, we didn't hear them discontinue or go into that tracking mode, but maybe trying to get the CHP to take it over. But we're fairly certain that this is the vehicle. We've had sight of it the whole time since we got over the pursuit, as he's continuing here northbound. Again, we're trying to figure out what the want is. We believe it's a stolen vehicle, but that still has yet to be confirmed.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, it is amazing to see the I-5 North not hitting some major clog spots, because you can see above there, you can see the traffic. So below it is, what a sight to see that you just said it, David, a really open road ahead of them. A driver taking speeds, but doesn't so far seem like they're driving erratically, JT, but this, the driver may have been involved in an accident previously, you'd mentioned?
Yeah, unconfirmed scanner traffic says we heard that he may have been involved in an accident, but we're not seeing any traffic collision damage on it. In fact, we can go digitally in with extreme vision, try to see if we can verify that is a Ford Focus. I believe it is. That's the Ford emblem on the front, so we're pretty sure that's good, but we do not see any visible traffic collision damage on the car, unless it's on the right side of the car. But the helicopter's overhead, and out, well, it might have passed him right up. Now, we think that's just a case, we think that's just a case of the air unit trying to direct the officers to the right unit. We think we're on the right car, but the communication has not come down yet.
There he goes. He's slowed down immediately, and now he's moving into position behind that Ford Focus. So it looks like you are on the right vehicle, JT. Good job on that. So he definitely spotted it. Now they've all slowed down, and they're all getting behind the vehicle. This is really interesting to see. So this is some of the goings on when it comes to searching, finding the vehicle. You say that their air unit is what led them to this car.
Yeah, they backed off the pursuit for a while, and I think they were trying to coordinate the California Highway Patrol to take it over. You can see him, the California Highway Patrol vehicle, in there. He's kind of offset behind the vehicle. He doesn't have his forward-facing red and blue lights on, so he's not technically in pursuit right now. But what they like to do is they like to make sure that all of the primary units at Buena Park will back out before they'll actually take it over. They don't like to mix in with other agencies when they're in pursuit. They want to make sure they're all backed out, then they'll engage that forward-facing red and blue, then technically they are in pursuit. We're continuing northbound on the 5 freeway, coming up on Firestone, we believe. Starting to slow down, maybe even over on the left shoulder there, 48, 50 miles per hour, coming up on Firestone. Very slow here. I'm not sure if that's a lane or that's the right shoulder. I believe it's the right shoulder. So CHP now behind him, or at least paralleling. Well, now they're passing him up. Very interesting. So it's kind of interesting. Well, we get another CHP coming in behind them with the SUV cruiser. Looks like they're getting off at La Mirada Valley. Well, Valley View. Almost sideswiped the CHP unit. So this is very interesting. I'm not sure that the CHP actually knows which car they're trying to chase. Right. So we're going to keep an eye on this, where they try to get that worked out. Continuing on the 5 freeway, might be a transition here, but he's backing off behind us a little bit, so we're going to slow down a little bit, because he's slowed down considerably. Everybody else doing 70, 75, David and Colleen, and he's doing 50.
That's weird.
So it sounds like the helicopter. Sounds like the helicopter lost it too, guys. So we're going to have our pilot Brendan Riley help him out, because the camera malfunctioned. So he is southbound, northbound on the 5, just went underneath the Alondra overpass in the number 3 lane. We're going to have him pass that along to them. So Angel had a camera malfunction in their aircraft, so they lost track of it. So I think we are the only ones that really have an eye on it, trying to get the units to get back on him and let him know he's the slowest one on the freeway, and that should probably help him out.
Yeah, this is one of the more confusing pursuits that we've ever seen, too, because you were locked on this guy. They did get behind him, sat behind him for a while, then they went around him. But we're pretty sure that this is the right guy, right?
Yeah, we're pretty sure. We're not seeing any other units in pursuit there, and he's trying to blend in, and he's actually doing a pretty good job of it. But we're going underneath the Rosecrans. Oh, coming up on the Rosecrans off-ramp now, but we're going to try to stay tight on this, because we don't want to lose it either, because he's trying to blend in. Fairly certain this is it. Northbound I-5 coming up on Rosecrans in about quarter mile to Rosecrans. We're trying to get the Anaheim helicopter back on this, so he can direct the CHP and either CHP or Buena Park PD back to him, but he's about to go over the Rosecrans overpass or underpass. I'm not sure which it is here, in about a 1/10 of a mile. So we'll see what happens here.
Oh boy, JT, you can sort of
Number one lane.
You can tell how confusing it is though when you do these night pursuits. Thank goodness you're on this suspect, but it is quite a challenge. We rarely ever see another one of the law enforcement helicopters' cameras go out, but to see how everybody's working together, it's impressive.
He might be communicating right now, so we're going to take this for a little while as we continue to watch this Ford Focus. This white Ford Focus is right below us. As JT said, he's trying to blend in, and he did a pretty good job. If you think about this, if this person is the person being pursued, and he had vehicles behind him, and then they suddenly take off and they go around him and they leave, it's almost like a scene out of a movie where he's like, oh my God, did that just happen? Did I get away with this? So he might be thinking that he did get away with it. Let's see what is behind him now, though. I'm not sure if that is a...
I haven't seen a lot.
I don't think that's law enforcement either. So he might think he got away, but he didn't. We're on top of him. JT is directing law enforcement as well. They'll be on him again. The interesting thing is we aren't real clear on why...
Okay, tell him...
why this pursuit is going on yet. We're trying to get some information, but he did. They were on him for a while. JT heard some scanner traffic saying that he was involved with a couple of accidents, so this was a dangerous pursuit at one time.
Yeah, but David, you can see they really, it looks like, unless they don't have their lights flashing, but it looks like you said, he was pretty successful in sort of blending in, because as of right now, we do not see any CHP tailing behind him, where just a moment ago we saw several going beside him and behind him, and then one in front of him. So this is very unusual.
A unique pursuit at that. But we continue to go down the 5 freeway. Did I just see southbound? 5?
I think it does say South 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, we're northbound 5.
Northbound 5, okay.
Northbound 5, coming up on Imperial Highway. Sorry about that, guys. We're just trying to coordinate. Number 2 lane, we've got the speeds of looking at about 50 miles per hour, so he should really be standing out to law enforcement. We think Angel's got him again, so we're trying to get them on him, but pull out just a little bit to the right, Rob. Is that a black and white? Nope, not yet. So we're trying to get units back on it here, but I-5, northbound I-5, coming up, I just passed Imperial, in the Norwalk area now, so back into the county of Los Angeles. So CHP will probably take this over from Winter Park here, coming up on, well, let's see here. Yep, just past Imperial, still trying to get law enforcement here again. Very confusing, guys. This is a very interesting one, and this is the one we've been watching from the start. We hope it's the right one, and we believe it is. So we're going to see if we can't get them back on this thing.
What's unusual, JT, even if it wasn't necessarily the right one, once the police come right behind them, you would think that they would just pull over if it's a false alarm. So that's what's so interesting when we're watching law enforcement right behind this vehicle. But David, it's a ubiquitous looking car. It seems like it would be very easy to blend in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, JT.
And that's a tactic that we've seen them do lately, kind of slow down and kind of blend in, and that worked. And he saw those black and whites go right by him and kind of duck in. But I think the problem came with the area and had a little bit of a malfunction. Brakes on right now, and I don't see any traffic, but he's on the brakes here. Just went coming up on the 605 here. No, that's not the 605. Continuing I-5 right at Santa Fe Springs right now, and we'll see if we can't get another unit here. Trying to. We don't see any black and whites. Maybe that's one coming in behind, but very interesting here as we continue northbound on the 5 freeway in Santa Fe Springs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can you imagine all these cars that are just normal on their normal commute or their drive, and they're just passing by this, seeing the helicopters above, thinking, what's going on?
I want to make note of the time. Idea. Here it is 7:30. If anybody's driven home from Disneyland after a long day, this is where it always gets really clogged up, but it is not clogged today. In fact, this guy, everybody's going around him. He's going so slowly, but there's plenty of room to move on the 5 freeway, which is a unique experience that in itself. But that's what we're following right there. That Ford Focus in the middle of your screen. JT has been on it for quite some time now, and we're waiting for law enforcement to eventually come up behind him.
Yeah, no doubt about it, David. It is incredible to see it, though. At some point, I would imagine we are going to see the CHP kind of come right in on it, because after this long and trying to coordinate all their jurisdictions and let people go and let others come on, it's interesting, JT, to see how the CHP sort of handles this as well, because they have their own set of rules on how they like to handle pursuits. And you were saying earlier, they like to do it, have the CHP the sole.
It's on the officers, or the primary department, I should say, that it starts the pursuit. That will maybe hang back, but they do not want them involved in the pursuit and then kind of trail the pursuit. But CHP is trying to take it over right now. We understand that they're on the another frequency, and they're trying to get to it. There may be some surveillance going on here. There may be some units that are either in dual-purpose vehicles, non-black and white vehicles that are not lit up, that are watching the vehicle from what we're understanding right now until the CHP can come take it over. But we still believe that's him. And the number 2 lane, northbound on the 5, coming up on Paramount. Paramount Boulevard is in the next off-ramp. But you can see he's driving much slower, he or she, I should say, driving much slower than the rest of the crowd, signaling over to the right, maybe trying to get off at Paramount Boulevard. We'll see if that happens.
Right, there he is. Everybody else is going around us. He's going very slow.
And no one knows that there's a suspect inside the vehicle.
He just is passing Paramount right now, so he did not get off the freeway. It looks like he's staying on the 5 freeway, continuing to go northbound on the 5, Los Angeles County now.
Yeah, just going. It's unusual to see people drive under the speed limit when there's open freeway here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's the giveaway. So it definitely he is something like here is not like the other. And this guy, he's been driving much slower, where he was driving very fast on the freeway. I think he number 3 lane right now, northbound 5, coming up on Slauson, the Slauson off ramp here in just the next 1/10 of a mile. Over to the right shoulder, over to the right lanes, I should say. Number 4 lane, maybe he's trying to set up to get off at Slauson, but we've seen this again. Not sure if he's going to do it. Now we got a black and white right behind him.
There he is.
So we'll see the CHP, and he's off.
Oh,
Yoki doke the CHP. Off the freeway at Slauson. So there is a little bit of a communication breakdown going on between, now I think the Chippy realized that. Maybe he's going to try to put it in reverse and back it up real quick, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Ooh.
Dangerous move there, but he realized he's going to get by that gore point, trying to get back out. Now we're going to be on Telegraph Road. Looks like he's setting up to go maybe, we'll see, northbound Telegraph Road. So that Chippy's going to get off the freeway and engage him. And my guess would be we're going to see those speeds again that we saw earlier in the Orange County area, high speeds, as the Chippy now realized that it was him, and now we're back on it. So we'll see if he re-engages the pursuit here, waiting for the red light right at Telegraph Road.
And that driver in front of the CHP has no idea. They're in between.
He may have seen him, the CHP officer, stop and slow, but I don't know. You know, there he is.
Oh, his hands are.
He's giving us a flashlight, which is interesting. That's a first. Either a flashlight on his phone or a flashlight letting us know where he's at. That's a first. But here we're stopped waiting for traffic. We'll see if he wants to give it up or not. But CHP, that was very unusual, which is a number of unusual things in this pursuit. But flashing a flashlight at the window. So here we go. We're waiting for traffic at Telegraph Road, right at Gage, right off the 5 freeway off ramp. So trying to see if he's going to, we'll widen out just a little bit to see what he's dealing with cross traffic. Okay, now he's got the right of way here. CHP around that unit. Almost. It went right into the traffic. Now, this is kind of how he was driving it before, splitting traffic, driving very erratically, almost got in several wrecks, possibly got into at least 2. So now we're going to be northbound Telegraph Road, CHP on it, lighting them up, and we'll see if we're back in pursuit.
I know.
Okay. We are in Montebello. I think we're going to call this Montebello here.
Right. So there he is in the middle lane. We're watching his behavior. Now it's getting a little bit odd. Instead of just going slowly, he's going, well, he still remains slow, but he's staying in that left turn lane. 12 miles per hour. You saw that now he's starting to move into the lanes, picking up speed just a little bit. You see the CHP vehicle right behind him. So it's very clear now that they know who he is, and they're after him.
And he knows that they're right behind him, but yet still not giving up. But, you know, George Pinocchio was on set, and he said maybe that white flashlight could have been like a surrender, like the white flag, if you will. And I guess that's not the case.
Yeah, you want to surrender, just stop and open the door and put your hands up.
Put your hands up.
So, at Greenwood now, at Telegraph Road, and like you said, erratic behavior. It's uncertain what's going on here. Maybe the driver, again, I don't want to speculate, possibly under the influences of substance. We're trying to use extreme vision to go in real quick and see if we can't see there's another occupant. You see there's lots of movement going on in there. There looks like there may be a passenger in there, but reaching around like that, that's no one in the front seat that we can see, but reaching around on those floorboards, reaching around in the passenger compartment, not a good thing for law enforcement to see. They don't like to see that. Now, uncertain if he's trying to get rid of evidence on board or reaching around for a weapon. Again, we're not sure that he's armed. We're still trying to get verification of what the suspect was wanted for. Continuing northbound on Telegraph Road, coming up on Maple here, very slow speeds, but whatever he's doing, he's just trying to buy himself a little more time to finish up whatever business he's doing inside the passenger compartment of that car. But it did appear to us from extreme vision to be a man driving the car. Original reports, there were possibly 2, maybe 3 people on board. Well, we're not certain that's the case. Very difficult to see, though, very dark, but that right front passenger seat appears to be vacant, and we can't tell the back seat. It looks like those rear windows a little bit dark here. Continuing northbound on Telegraph here, speeds 25 miles per hour.
What's interesting, JT, we now have confirmation you were the one person who had the right car in all of this. Now that he is not pulling over, if you think about, if we go back just a few minutes, the helicopter lost him, the police units went around him. You were the only guy on him for a while there, and you chose correctly, and were sure of who you had, and as a result, this pursuit is underway again.
Yeah, big relief up here on the helicopter that we had the right one, but we are in Commerce now. We're going to call this Commerce. I think we mistakenly called this Montebello earlier, but still northbound on Telegraph in Telegraph Road here in Commerce, coming up on Garfield. So very slow speed pursuit now, David and Colleen, where it was very high speed in the Orange County area. And before we were over it, we were listening to it. We were hearing speeds of 70, 80 miles per hour, and then he slowed down to 30. So a big swing in speeds, very slow, very fast. Now he's stopping for lights, and where he wasn't doing that before. They are talking about a pursuit intervention technique right now. We're not going to give away what that might be. It may be a pit, maybe a stop strip or a spike strip or something along those lines, but they're trying to get authorization to get that done. So we'll see what happens. Again, we're still trying to get verification of the want for the suspect. We believe it's a stolen vehicle until we're told differently from our assignment desk. We're trying to get that from them. But here, stopped at Telegraph Road in Garfield, waiting for the stale red light. We'll see where it goes from here and if they try to get this guy pitted.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And he does, when you keep the speeds low like that, JT, and there's room around you, I guess you have more opportunity as law enforcement to get into position and do something more offensive when it comes to ending these pursuits, as opposed to when they're going super fast at a dangerously high rate of speed, where if they lose control of that car, it could be deadly.
Yeah, one of the things they consider during those conditions, and the supervisor in this pursuit or the incident commander of this pursuit will consider a lot of things: traffic conditions, pedestrian conditions, weather conditions, speed. Obviously, if he's going too slow, it's not going to be very effective. Is it going too fast? It's going to also be dangerous to everyone around. So all those things are considered by the incident commander in the pursuit. Obviously, making those choices and decisions right now here in Commerce. LA County Sheriff's helicopter has relieved Anaheim's helicopter over the pursuit here as we go underneath the tracks here at Telegraph. That's the area that always floods when it rains. We've been here quite a bit. But northbound on Telegraph in Commerce, paralleling the 5 freeway, coming up on the Citadel here in just a little bit if he continues on this course, the Citadel Shopping Center.
Yeah, and JT, it does seem like this driver is trying to kind of adhere to all the rules of the road, which is kind of unusual, being that they are trying to get away.
Yeah, unusual in the sense that this was a completely different pursuit a mere half hour ago. He was driving extremely erratically, almost got in several wrecks, going through mid-phase red tri-lights, all these things which are not the same now. So it's very puzzling, and one of many things that have been puzzling during this pursuit. But here we are, and seeing a completely different behavior. Now, I'm sure law enforcement doesn't care because it's a much safer conditions here, stopping for the reds, driving very slow, which will probably end in some sort of a pursuit intervention technique or tactic, as you will, right here at Telegraph in Washington. So we're going to keep an eye on that. They like to do them sometimes when they're in turns or making a turn so they can disengage that rear end. Not sure if that's going to be the case here or not, but just time's on the side of all law enforcement officers right now, not really posing an entire big risk to the public safety right now, stopping for the reds. But so we'll see what happens.
That poor driver to the left of the suspect, JT. You see him trying to get out of the way, very nervous. Can you imagine if you're in the car with your family, you're trying to figure out what do you do in this situation, other than
they call it black and white fever.
Yeah.
They call it black and white fever. When you see one, even when their lights aren't on, people get very nervous and tend to forget how to drive when the black and white's near them.
I think I'd have it too.
You can
Jeez.
So, and believe me, law enforcement takes into account for that. They know that when they're out there, even when they're not driving a pursuit, that they make people nervous, and that's not unheard of. That, again, the slang for black and white fever. But so that's the case there. You see a black and white with its emergency equipment on. It's like, oh, is he looking at me? Is he looking at someone else? The helicopter's overhead with a night sun spotlight. So it's a very confusing situation, and we've seen people try to pull over to the right between pursuits or in front of pursuits. So, well, looks like we're getting back on the northbound 5 freeway in Commerce.
Oh, he likes those freeways.
Here we go.
Yeah, it looks like they like the freeways again.
Range, could be an issue with this Ford Focus too. It's an electric vehicle, right? So, no, it's not electric. Okay.
It depends on the year. I'm not sure if the later models of now. We got the speeds going here. So looking at speed 70, there's 80, there's 85. So I mean, just extreme swings in driving behavior from the suspect. Now we're passing vehicles at 80 plus, pushing 90, where we were going 50 earlier. So just very erratic, which could be indicative that the suspect driving the vehicle may be under. Again, we don't know that to be the case, but may be under the influence.
Okay, I guess it depends. Some Ford Focuses are electric. This one, it's tough to tell. Obviously, what year this one is and if it's electric or not. But if it is electric, then it's going to be a little bit more limited when it comes to mileage and how far it can go. And then, of course, the faster it goes, the more it's going to use its charge, too.
Yeah, I mean, nonetheless, electric or non-electric, we know that these are pretty fuel-efficient vehicles, and it's hard to know how much fuel is in the suspect's tank when this whole thing started. And again, we're still trying to verify what the suspect was wanted for. So we do have the frequency up now. CHP is frequency up, so we'll hopefully get some more information that we can pass along. But speaking of fuel, we've been out for a little while covering the UCLA basketball story, and we're getting a little low. So we've got probably about 30 or 40 minutes on station right now as well. So we're going to stick with this as long as we can. But continuing north on the 5 freeway, we are coming up on through Commerce. I'll give you an off-ramp as soon as we have it. But so coming up on the 710, that's the 710 you see going underneath your screen. Looking at speeds 80, 85 miles per hour here. So this looks more like a real pursuit, something we're used to seeing.
Right.
But that cat and mouse that was going on almost worked. He blended in, but had too many sets of eyes on him as he continues here.
Your eyes, JT.
Well, I got Rob Gluckman in the back on Extreme Vision. We got Brennan Riley on the controls here, all helping out while communicating. It's a team effort here as we continue to follow this guy. But law enforcement, like we said, they had a failure with their camera. It slewed off of them. So when that happened, the TFO lost eyes. So we were able to help them out trying to regain the suspect. But it took a little while to get that communication straightened out. But they're on the right guy, and hopefully we'll be in custody without anybody being hurt here shortly.
Yeah, and JT, it must be very challenging for law enforcement to predict where this person's going to go now, because trying to do any kind of tactical situation on the surface streets would seem like it would be somewhat easier. I'm sure it's not. Anyway, you try to think about it, it's not an easy maneuver to try to get a suspect to pull over if they don't want to.
Yeah, and you would think that if they were going to do it, the time to do it was at those slow speeds in Commerce there, and those stop speeds, and that would have been the great time to do it. So possibly they have information that we don't have yet. Maybe they know that he's armed. It's not usual for them to do a pit maneuver on an armed suspect, because that puts you face to face with the suspect when that vehicle turns around. So that might have been one of the reasons. So again, we don't know that, but it seemed to me that would have been a good place to do it. But the incident commander of the pursuit decided not to do it. Now we're on the freeway, and I want to show you something interesting as we show you with the pointer. You saw this cruiser right here. He went in and replaced this cruiser here. So this may be an officer that may be pit certified. Maybe the officer driving this one was not pit certified. There's some, it really depends. It might be a newer officer. CHP is very good, and we've talked about this many times before, very good at switching their units out. When they go through a specific area, they'll switch units out. They'll put fresh drivers in so officers don't become tunnel vision on the pursuit. So they're very good at swapping units in and out to keep fresh eyes, fresh vehicles in on the pursuit, and they do that all the time. And you'll see it in these pursuits. If we see it again, we'll point it out to you. But a lot of the agencies, municipal agencies throughout the city of Los Angeles and throughout all the counties here, usually the primary and secondary units stick with the pursuit as long as they can, until their vehicle becomes disabled or some other mitigating factor comes into play here. But CHP, they're constantly switching out here. As we continue northbound on the 5 freeway, I think we're at the East LA interchange. Well, lots of ways he can go. He can go northbound on the 10 or the 101 that turns into the 10 here. He can transition onto the back towards the 101, as we mentioned. So a lot of options here at the East LA interchange. He could stick to the 10, and I think that's what he's going to be doing. Well, he may be committed to the 5 north. We'll see. There's so many transitions here, it's difficult to see which way he's going to go, but we'll keep an eye on it here.
Yeah, I mean, this is an area that it's amazing that the traffic is so light right now, too.
Yeah, very light. Just going 29 to 35 miles per hour. I did a little research, and if this is a Ford Focus electric, the maximum it's going to get is 115 miles on a charge. But if it's a gas vehicle, it can go up to 434 miles on a tank of gas. They do get really, really good gas mileage. But depending on how he drives and if it's surface streets, if he's accelerating, etc., that's going to cut it down. But the point being that if this is an electric car, it's going to be extremely limited in how long and how far he can go versus a gas. And I don't know how to tell the difference just by looking at it from our angle.
Yeah, now we're trying to get some confirmed information. Now we're hearing that it is a female, a woman behind the wheel, and we're trying to confirm there's a violation of a restraining order, and that came from our assignment desk, doing some excellent work there. So some sort of an incident where she was told to stay away from someone, and she violated that restraining order, and then the pursuit was on. Started in Buena Park, as mentioned before. They were the primary agency that started this thing, handed over to the California Highway Patrol. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on here, if there are any other persons or people in the vehicle. But now we understand that it is a woman driving the vehicle northbound on the 5 freeway right now. Now this is where we can transition on the North 5 and stay with it, or we can transition onto the 10 or the 101, coming up through the County General Hospital area. So it looks like we're Boyle Heights. In the Boyle Heights area, we'll see which way we go here. But this has gone a long way, and now we're seeing speeds, interestingly enough, 45 miles per hour. We were seeing 80 just a few minutes ago. So she's not really sure how fast or how slow she wants to go or what she wants to do. A lot of confusion. We saw all that motion going on in the passenger compartment of the vehicle earlier when she was in Commerce. So not a lot of good things going on here. So a very interesting pursuit here, to say the least. But CHP continuing to follow at slow speeds here on the freeway. They're running a traffic brake behind the vehicle, so that's why you're not seeing any other vehicles pass. But so we're continuing here at speeds of about 45, 50 miles per hour, which actually can be dangerous in the city of Los Angeles on the freeways for sure.
Yeah, people can come up on that quickly and run into the back and not be prepared for it. Also, it's concerning to hear that this is a person that potentially violated a restraining order, because that might show perhaps a person who's imbalanced, who's extremely stressed, who is capable of making bad decisions. And then we've seen that in how erratic this pursuit is. Super fast, super slow. Clearly a person who's extremely confused in what to do in this very stressful situation.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, David, because when you cover enough of these and you watch enough of these, and I've seen thousands and thousands of them, you can almost tell by the demeanor of the way they drive. You know, it sometimes mimics their frame of mind, the suspect's frame of mind. They're driving really fast erratically, and all of a sudden they're driving very slow. Or so a lot of that it can be read in the way they drive the vehicle. And more times than not, if it's a suspect that's wanted for a robbery, they're going full tilt the whole way, high speeds, erratic driving, or a stolen vehicle. And the cases where you see domestic violence or restraining orders, those types of things, you see you see this type of thing. So, or someone that might be mentally unstable. Again, we don't know that to be the case here. We only know that the woman is wanted for a violation of a restraining order. We don't have any of those details, but sometimes it is very telltale with the way they drive the vehicles. Their frame of mind matches the way they drive.
Yeah, what is kind of unusual, being that we do follow a lot of police pursuits, is that we're somewhat surprised it's a female driving the car as well, because most of the time it is a male driving these cars, and they drive pretty fast and pretty erratic. So this has just been unusual from sort of start to hopefully finish very soon.
Yeah, you know, it's very possible, too, that one of the reasons they did not try to pit her earlier, they may be communicating with her. They may be talking to her. They have the radio traffic operators or emergency broadcast operators that work and do amazing jobs at the dispatch centers, have ways of getting a hold of these people and getting them talking to the right people and getting the primary or the incident commander on the phone with them. So they may be trying to talk to her, talk her down. That could be why she's slowing down. So there's a lot of things that could be happening, especially if it's not a stolen vehicle. More than likely, this is that person's vehicle. So they have a registered owner. They have the plate. Coming up on some traffic here as we transition to the Golden State Freeway portion of the freeway here, right near Figueroa. But it could be that they're talking to her. We're going to try to get in a little tighter while we can, where it's pretty bright in this area with extreme vision, and see if we can't get a better look at the woman here. Still a lot of that movement inside the driver's side of that vehicle. Every once in a while, we'll get a good glance, but I don't see a cell phone in her hand, but that could be the case as well. A lot of speculation. We don't want to speculate too much. A lot of things could be going on here, but right now, speeds are safe. She's not driving too erratically at this particular moment, and CHP is biding in their time here, just continuing to follow her in pursuit.
Yeah, now that the traffic is getting pretty heavy in this area, it'll be interesting to see if she tries to actually pull over when she gets to a standstill, or if she just continues to try to weave in and out. But this is obviously stressful for the CHP as well, because once you get more people, there's possible more victims.
Yeah, guys, I apologize for that. You got covered by another radio there. We're trying to get some information. Colleen, can you go with your question again?
I was just saying that it's going to be interesting to see what this female driver decides to do, because she's now hitting some more cars, and it's somewhat tricky because now there's more possibility of having more crashes and more victims possibly get hurt.
Yeah. Well, we're looking ahead. I'm looking out the window of Air 7 HD on the northbound 5. Now, it is slow, but it is moving, right? Coming up on the 2 freeway, the Glendale Freeway, gets a little bit slower. Then up to Los Feliz, it starts to move again. And then as you approach the Glendale area, up towards where we are, the station starts to slow down again. We all know that drive. But so it's slow and go here on the northbound 5. But speeds, I don't think she's going to get hung up in that traffic. Or we haven't seen her weaving around in this portion of the pursuit. Now, much earlier in the pursuit, she was driving much more erratically in the streets of Buena Park and in Anaheim, swerving through traffic, splitting traffic, almost got sideswiped, almost got T-boned at least a few times, going through red lights, and almost got taken out. So a much different story here, much different. Now we're looking a little bit, let's go back in. This may be a Ford Fusion. We're trying to get that verified with extreme vision as we go in a little tighter, but we're not sure if it's a Focus or a Fusion, but
yeah,
getting
you might be right. I'll look it up from here, and that does look like the cap of a gas tank in the back there. So Ford Fusion.
I know our director Larry is saying, yeah, it looks like a Fusion.
Yeah, let me look that up, because there were some things that weren't quite registering when it comes to the Focus.
Right.
So let me look that up and see if we can get some clarification on that.
But we know these are very fuel economic vehicles. We do know that, because We see a lot. If you're a commuter, you see a lot of these cars on the road because they get a lot of miles to the gallon.
Yeah, it looks like a Ford Fusion. In fact, I'm looking at the exact car right now. Gas tank's right there. 4-door, white.
It looks like it.
Yeah, it's Rob Gluckman, who's our camera operator here in the back seat, my partner, is extremely uncanny ability to identify these vehicles is really good. So we're going to pull out just to make sure that this is stop for traffic. It is. I didn't know if she was just stopping because of something else, but see, a lot of people are seeing the emergency equipment of the black and whites behind them and actually just stopping and not knowing what to do. So that's attributing to the slower traffic here.
Right.
It's stressful if you're driving if you're driving and you see all the helicopters and you see the law enforcement, a pretty good line of them coming up behind you. It's stressful, and of course you have no idea what car they're trying to chase.
Well, Ford Fusion.
Yeah, and it's.
Go ahead, JT.
Yeah, especially with the night sun. So a lot of people aren't used to seeing that bright night sun, turning night into day practically, coming through the top of your car, the windshield. So people get kind of confused by that because they're uncertain what it is or where it's coming from, as it does reflect around the vehicle. So you can see that night sun when it hits either oncoming traffic on the southbound 5 or northbound traffic ahead. It can be very confusing to know exactly where that's coming from.
Yeah, I can say that. It gets me very nervous whenever I see helicopters above, and I have no idea where they're looking, which is, at first when you start seeing it throws you off.
Okay, so in doing a little bit of research online, the Ford Fusion can go a long way because some of them are hybrid, up to 610 miles if it's a 2017, but I don't think this is. I think this is a little bit older model. If I found a picture, the back taillights are what kind of gives it away, and it looks like perhaps a 2010 Ford Fusion, but I'm not the car specialist, so don't count on that. But at least from what I'm seeing online, it's not a newer model Ford Fusion, which would have that kind of crazy range of 600 miles. So, but it looks like it's something around a 2010, still probably capable of going a long way. But the good news is, as we've been watching, not driving dangerously, however. Still very unclear about what to do in this predicament, aside from what you should do, and that is pulling over and giving up.
Yeah.
Well, we see that the California Highway Patrol, at least at this point, has turned off their emergency equipment.
Oh, yeah.
So, just as I say that, they're doing something else here. So let's see what they plan on doing. Maybe they're going to try to get ahead of her to deploy a spike strip. Okay.
Well, it just takes another interesting turn here, JT. Interesting.
Yeah, let's just see what we got here. Hang on, we're trying to get information here. CHP has just canceled this pursuit.
Really?
So they have canceled it.
They're gonna let the person
The
go.
Sheriff's Department turned off the night sun. They are not continuing with it. So this may be a case that they know who this person is. They know how to get a hold of her if they need to later. So you can see them pulling off down the right shoulder. And they're apt to just to let this one go. So we've been seeing this a lot lately, especially with crimes against property, violent crimes, robberies, or murder, or anything like that. Obviously, they're going to pursue, but we've seen more and more departments starting to cancel the pursuit if it's a crime against property or if it's a named suspect that they know who they are, where to get them on another day, or do a follow-up or rollback to where they may live at another time. So that's the case here. CHP is pulled off, Buena Park is pulled off, and I believe the Sheriff's Department helicopter is also pulling or pulled off. So, yeah, there are no law enforcement on the pursuit right now. So that's the way it's going to end here. She's going to continue northbound on the 5 freeway coming up in the Los Feliz area. This is no longer a pursuit.
Very interesting, JT, this whole thing from start to finish. Again, talking about a violation of a restraining order in Buena Park. It really wound its way through the Southland and it's now in Los Feliz area. So, again, now calling off the pursuit. This is very interesting, David.
It does make some sense, particularly if this is a person who violated a restraining order who could be a bit delicate, a bit sensitive, could be overly stressed. Perhaps the best thing they can do, if they know who this person is, to let this person safely go home, and they'll have this conversation at another time without people getting into any kind of danger, at least putting other people in danger. And by the way, we're coming towards the end of this program, just a few seconds away. We're going to continue to watch this car for a few minutes more on ABC7.com. But that's it for us now on KDOC TV.
Absolutely. We will be back here tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.